With the Antec P70, black is the new black. There's actually two shades of black. We'll take a look. This is going to be the review and unboxing of the Antec P70. This is, I guess, sort of aimed at a more budget-oriented market. This is a sort of mid-tower ATX case. Antec's sort of back in the game. They've been sort of quiet for a while, I think. I haven't really heard too much from them. And this is one of the first cases that we've taken a look at from Antec in a while. So basically, we're just going to unpack it real quick. It's pretty standard issue. It's pretty well packed. The first thing that I noticed unpacking it is that it's incredibly lightweight. So, this case does not have 1/4 inch thick steel panels or anything like that. It's not flimsy, certainly not flimsy, but it is very lightweight. One of the design considerations on this is that both sides of the case, the metal is stamped to give you an extra, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of room, something like that. That'll matter on the cable management side, on the back of the motherboard side. That'll matter more for cable management. On the other side, it'll help give you a little bit extra room for tower coolers, like the 212 Evo or coolers like that have heat pipes that stick up a little bit or whatever. This case is fairly narrow. It's really only about as it's a little bit wider than a 5 1/4 inch device. At the bottom, we've got four 3.5 inch bays. It comes with a box with all the toolless stuff to hook that up in the 3.5 inch bays, and then the 5 1/4 inch bays are toolless as well. Below the two 5 1/4 inch bays, there's also one externally exposed 3.5 inch bay. If you're not paying attention when you look at the front of this, it looks like that you can get three 5 1/4 inch drives in there, but that's not the case. At the bottom, we've got the mount for the power supply, and then we've got the sort of the rubber dampening standoff things for the power supply. So that was a nice touch. At the back of the case, we've got two rubber grommets that are a cutout, and then you've got a 120 millimeter fan below that. Then you've got the cutouts for the expansion slots. You will have to break these expansion slot holes out with a screwdriver or something like that. The other thing at the back is you've got this lock-unlock at the top, which unlocks the top dust cover. Now, this case does come with three fans installed, two in the top and one in the front, but it also comes with this little plastic cutout thing. So if you wanted to relocate the fans from the top to somewhere else in the case, like say the front, there's two fan spots at the front of the case. You could put this plastic cutout in, and then all of the air would be exhausted out the back of the case, and you wouldn't exhaust air through the top anymore. You would need to remove the fans from the top if you were going to use this little cutout thing. For the front panel, you've got two headphone and microphone jacks. It comes with little rubber things to prevent dust from getting in there, and then you've got two USB 3.0 ports, again with little rubber things to prevent dust from getting in there. The power and reset buttons have a pretty solid feel, and then at the top you've got some fan controls, which is the most surprising feature on this case. Now for the fan controls, it's pretty easy to hook up on the inside on the rear of the motherboard tray. It's just a regular hookup, nothing special there. It's for 3-pin fans. It's a 3-pin fan speed control. It's really just 2 speeds, high and low. Okay, let's take a look at the situation we've got going on at the front of the case. I'm just going to set it over so that we can get a better look at it. All right, the front pops off easy enough. It's got the front intake vents that we saw before that will let air into the case. And then I was thinking that maybe you could get a radiator in the front here, but after experimenting with it for a bit, no, you can't. There's a great dust filter in the front that you can remove and wash and deal with. So it's pretty easy to do the dust management thing with this case as far as the front goes. But your only options for front cooling are really just to mount two fans. It also comes with special screws to actually mount those fans. So if you were thinking about using rubber standoffs or standard rubber pull-through mounts for your fans for sound dampening, that's probably not going to work with this case. You could probably still use rubber washers, but in terms of like the actual rubber standoffs, that probably won't work. The case is really lightweight, so the steel is really thin. That means there is a little bit of give to it, and so you can see I'm just sort of pushing on the case, and there is quite a bit of give to it. That said, when you get the sides on and everything is bolted down, it's actually pretty sturdy. So I really wouldn't fault that too much. For a budget case, it's not bad. Let's take a look behind the motherboard. So behind the motherboard, we've got a huge cutout for the motherboard cooling. There's not really much room in terms of like the standoff part of it, but keep in mind that the case itself actually has a raised area. So in terms of cable management, it doesn't look like you have a lot of room, but you actually have a pretty good amount of room to do cable management. I think that cable management with a fully loaded X99 platform in this case would be a little problematic, but anything less than that, I don't think you're going to have an issue. They did actually even provide extra cutout around the power supply by bending the case so that you'd have even more room for cable management, and there are ample cable management attachment, tie-off points located all over the back of the motherboard tray. At the front, you can sort of see the drive bay situation at the front. You've got this other bay at the bottom that's designed for holding a 3.5-inch drive, and you can see a little bit more about the front fan mounting. The case does come with an Antec 2-year warranty. When we were unboxing this case, a rivet fell out. I don't know if that rises to the level of doing a warranty claim, but I couldn't actually find where the rivet went, so it may have just been extraneous stuff from shipping. At the bottom, there's a dust filter for the power supply intake. The other thing is this case stands off the floor a lot. It's about an inch or so. So if you're going to have this case on carpet, that'll actually work out really well. I think that because of the control panel being on the top of the case and the feet being raised so high, this is actually a pretty good floor model case, even though it's only a mid-tower case. I like the color scheme of this case. It's sort of a dark gray and black. The plastic parts are very dark matte black. The metal pieces are more of a midnight gray semi-gloss. I think the color scheme works really well. Overall, I think this is a good value case. Do you have one of these? What's your opinion? Let us know on the forum at techsyndicate.com. I'll see you there.